Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to B'nai Israel. And I see old friends, and I see a great assortment of people here, and I welcome the people online. And we are looking forward to a lovely Shabbat service. And I am joined with the choir today, and it's always a delight for me, and I think you as well. So we are going to open the service with Shabbat Shalom. Those are the only words you need to know. So I don't even need to give you a page. We can start without a book. Here we go. Bim, bam,
bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
bim,
Bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam.
Shabbat Shalom.
And again, welcome. We're about to formally welcome Shabbat. Before we do so, let's certainly take that opportunity to greet one another. So I ask that you turn to somebody nearby who you haven't introduced yourself before, and please wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And again, welcome. So now we're ready. So page 120 for Hadlakat Hanorot, Kindling the Lights of Shabbat. Sharon Goldman leads us this evening in candlelighting, page 120. And our prayer books have a Hebrew opening. They will be opening from right to left, page 120.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, Sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
And let us all sing together the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you,
Sharon. We now turn in our prayer books to page 138 for Lecha Dodi as we continue to welcome Shabbat. We'll be singing the first, the second, and the 9th verses, those verses specific to Shabbat of Lecha Dodi. Ti likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Lecha lechado ti likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila la la. Lecha lechado ti likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Lecha lechado ti likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila.
Shamor v'zachor v'libur echad, Hishmiyanu
El hamichad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'letki la la la.
lecha lechadoti,
Likrat likrat kala,
v'nei
nikabila. Likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Likrat shabat lechu v'nelcha, ki himekor habracha, ve'osh mekerem nesucha, sofa haseder machshavat techila la, lecha lechadoti, likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Lechadoti, likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila.
Boi v'shalom ma'ateret ba'alav,
Gam b'simcha u'b'sohola, toch emunei hom segula.
Boi chala, boi chala, lecha
Lechadoti, likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Lecha lechadoti, likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Lecha lechadoti, likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. Lecha lechadoti, likrat likrat kala, pene shabat nikabila. We now turn to page 144, page 144, for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgada v'yitgada shemei rabba.
Amen.
V'yamad divrach yute v'yamlik malchute.
B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uv'izman kari.
V'himeru.
Amen.
Yehei shemei rabba mevorach. Le'olam u'me'omaya. Yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei dekudishav
Brechu.
Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran belma v'meru amen.
We turn to page 146. We invite those who are able to rise. The Baruch Hu, page 146.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam vahed.
Page 148, we read together in English. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzibaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amahariv Haravim. Page 150, we read, Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Aved. Please be seated. The Ve'ahavta will be found page 154. We join together with Linda. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzalvecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam libanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivtecha v'beitecha uflectecha v'derek ufshokbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot al yodecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mitzuzot beitecha uvishorecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'lohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Emet, I read towards the bottom of page I read on page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believed what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together. Mi Chamocha, found page 158. Yum bum bum bim bim bum, yabba bum bum bim bum, yum bum bum bim bim bum, yabba bum bum bim bum, yai 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 yai, yabba bum bum bim bum, yai 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 yai, yabba bum bum bim bum.
Mihi chamocha ba'im Adonai,
Mihi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, norati lo osefele, norati lo osefele, yam bum bum bim bim bum, yam bum bum bim bum, yam bum bum bim bim bum, yam bum bum bim bum, yai lai 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 lai, yam bum bum bim bum. Yai, dai, 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 yabba bum bum bim bum. Malachutecha rahuvanecha, bokei ayam, lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'eli, yahanu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam. Bum bim bim bum, yabba bum bum bim bum, yam bum bum bim bim bum, yabba bum bum bim bum, yai dai 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 dai, yabba bum bum bim bum, yai dai 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 dai, yabba bum bum bim bum. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 160, I read at the bottom of the page, Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Bochat Adonai, apoy sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ba'al Yerushalayim. On page 162, our prayer for the Sabbath, for Shabbat, Yismechu, the second Hebrew paragraph down on the page.
And this is a very joyous tune that comes from us, to us from the Hasidim, and has a real Hasidic feel to it. Yismechu b'malchutecha, Yismechu b'malchutecha, Shorei Shabbat, Mikorei B'korei Yomek Shabbat.
turn to page 164, page 164 for the tefillah. We invite those who are able to rise for the tefillah. We'll be chanting the prayers on the right-hand pages, on the even-numbered pages, beginning page 164, continuing to page 170.
Adonai sifata ufian hitatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avutim v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chaserot Ve'imahot, U'mei Kula Lifnei Bneihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Kosher Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Tavra V'Hoshia, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gifurot, Umidol Melach, Melech Meni to Mechayeh, Umatzmi al Yeshua, Be'emanatah HaChayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Michayeh HaKol.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We see such division both in America and in Israel. In a recent blog, Natan Sharansky, the former Soviet dissident and refusenik, and later the former Israeli cabinet minister, he wrote this week, "The true danger is that we will stop talking with each other, stop building our consensus, stop finding places where we can say yes to one another and the values we yet share. Consensus is important, foundational even to the functioning of all democracies, but it is especially crucial in Israel, where we deal with weighty tasks that require cooperation and agreement, like kibbutz galiot, the ingathering of the exiles, maintaining a democratic regime in the hostile environment of the Middle East, defending ourselves against relentless enemies with a people's army, and maintaining our cooperation with diaspora Jewry as we rely on their support against insistent efforts to delegitimize Israel's very existence. How can we do any of this without discussing the best ways to move forward? How can we achieve our shared goals if we can't even sit around the same negotiation table? While the opposition, like Sharansky, found President Herzog's proposals less than ideal, it was Prime Minister Netanyahu and his allies who summarily rejected the thought of that negotiation. They did so 17 minutes after Herzog proposed it. Shalom connotes peace, wholeness, connection, inclusion. May we be advocates of shalom, bringing it from realm to realm. May shalom be abundant in our lives, our nation, our people, and our world. And may nation never take up sword against nation, nor shall they ever know war. Our prayer this evening, Lo Yisagoy, page 179.
Lo
Yisagoy el goy
Heret, Lo Yilmedu
od milchama.
Lo Yisagoy el goy Heret,
Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy heret. Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy heret. Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy heret. Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy heret. Lo yilmedu od milchama. Silent prayer, page 180.
Just give us an A. A, just one A. That doesn't seem right. A, this one, A. Oh, say shall we.
Sorry about that.
It's nice to know how difficult it is to do this.
really lovely. Our service now continues, page 364, with Seder Kriyat Torah with our Torah service. For those who are able, we invite you to rise as the Torah will be taken from the Ark. We sing Ki Mitzio.
Ki mitzion tesei Torah. Ki mitzion tesei Torah. Udebar Adonai miYerushalayim.
Please be seated. Our portion, it's a double portion this week, Vayakhel Pikudei. Our portion ends the book of Exodus with a cloud of smoke and a pillar of fire accompanying Israel throughout their wilderness trek. God's presence appears tangible in the people's midst, and we also read just how prior to that, Moses completes the setting up of the Mishkan, of the portable wilderness sanctuary. It was a modest space, a tent, not humanity's biggest nor the most luxurious creation, but all of Israel had offered their best for its construction, and celebrating that determination, God's enveloping presence, the Shekhinah, descends to cover it. Tonight especially, the book of Exodus might resonate with us. It starts out sad with enslavement and genocide, but it ends happy. This story, central to Judaism, offers hope and inspiration. Our Torah portion begins Exodus chapter 40, verse 28. In the Plaut Torah commentaries, and the larger Torah commentaries, they're in the back, you can find that on page 686. I will be translating. Jonathan Kapstein has the Aliyah this evening. Jonathan, we invite you forward. And we'll be beginning right there.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim. Yinatan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. And Jonathan, if you'll hold right here. Amen. Ve'yasem et masach petach lamishkan ve'et mizbach ha'olah. Sam petach mishkano hel moed ve'yal alav et ha'olah ve'et ha'mizbeach asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. And Moses was putting up the gate at the entrance of the tabernacle for the what will be the olah, the offering, which is the burnt offering, and at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, and for that offering and for the mincha, for the meal offering, just as Adonai had instructed Moses. And he set up the basin, or the laver. He set up a basin between the altar and the tent of meeting and the altar for them to wash. And Moses and Aaron's sons could wash their hands and their feet. When they were going into the tent of meeting, El HaMizbeach in order to offer the sacrifices on the altar. Yerachatzu Asher Tziva Adonai et Moshe. They washed as God had commanded Moses. Vayakem et hechatzer saviv lamishkan, and they set up the court across from the sanctuary. Mizbeach v'yiten et masak sha'ar hechatzer v'echal Moshe et malacha. And after they had set up the gate of the court, and then Moses had completed the work. V'yachas he'anan, and then a cloud descended, Ohel Moed, into the tent of meeting. Uchvod Adonai, and God's presence, Malay et Hamishkan, filled the tabernacle. V'lo yachol Moshe lavo el Ohel Moed, and Moses was not able to go into the tent of meeting. Ki shachana alav ha'anan, because the cloud had descended and was dwelling in it. Uchvod Adonai malay et ha-mishkan, and God's kavod, God's glory, filled the tabernacle. Ve'olot he'anan me'al ha-mishkan yisu v'nei Yisrael b'chol masehem. And when that cloud was raised, the children of Israel would go on their journeys. Ve'im lo ye'eleh, but if it did not go up, he'anan, the cloud, lo yisu ad yom helato, they would not go on their journeys until it had gone up. Ki anan Adonai al hamishkan, because the cloud of Adonai was on over the tabernacle. Yomam ve'esh tihi elai lovo, and in the evening there was a fire over it. Le'enei kol Beit Yisrael, and God, who had seemed so distant at the beginning of the book, all of Israel could see this, all of the household of Israel, b'chol masehem, in all of their journeys. Jonathan, you can see clearly, we are in between books right here. There's a big,
clear as a bell.
Clear as a bell.
Yes,
so
indeed.
there's something which we say when we see that. We've just finished a book, Chazak, Chazak, Vanit Chazek, be strong, and let us strengthen one another. And our blessing after the reading.
Right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nator b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
We rise, page 370, as the Torah is raised.
V'zot Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael, al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. La 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 la.
For those who are able, remain standing as the Torah is returned to the Ark, page 374 for Eitz Chaim He, that Torah is a tree of life.
Is Chaim He, L'ma chazikim ba, v'tom heha me'ushar, d'racheha, d'archeam, v'chol tzivoteiha, shalom, hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva.
As we offer the blessing for healing this Shabbat, we are mindful of Yvette Mickenberg, Reverend Ken Frazier, Pat Marignani, Mora Tzvi Amina, Bat Ita Vitzvi Hirsch, Max Berkowitz, Judy Sherman, Alex Greenberg, Lenny Gutter. There are also those for whom we pray privately. For those in our sanctuary, please share aloud the names of people for whom we likewise pray publicly this Shabbat.
Lita Watkins.
Adrian Kapstein.
Moss. Carlo Lichtenstein.
And for those on Zoom, we invite you to unmute and say aloud the names of people for whom we also pray this Shabbat.
Jessica Ann Bryan.
For all, may the Holy One send healing and shelter in protection. Those words, El Na, Rafan Allah, those are words from the Torah. It's the first prayer for healing, which Moses offers in the Torah in the book of Numbers. It was the Torah portion, which has those words, was Linda's bat mitzvah Torah portion. And then Linda wrote that beautiful melody as a way of commemorating those very special sacred words. Officiating at a funeral for an architect this week sharpened my understanding of this week's Torah reading, for it seemed even clearer to me how at the end of the book of Exodus, God is presented as a type of divine architect, prodding Moses and the people to complete the design for what's known as the Mishkan, the sanctuary, what we just read about a few moments ago. What was wanted, what God requested, I guess there's a call to agree with me, what was wanted, what God requested, was a physical structure to center the people's consciousness and inspire their devotion. The material and the design, all presented in loving detail in later chapters of the book of Exodus, is what's completed in this week's portion. Underlying the narrative is an understanding that there's significance to our surroundings, that the rooms we occupy have influence upon us. It might be this building and this very room, our sanctuary, which 20 years later still induces in me a sense of awe and gratitude. Yet it can also be other spots. Our environments do resonate with us. Think of a favorite room or a favorite location and how it might affect or it might comfort you. A house or an apartment, a park or beach. Where might you find sanctuary? I know that in one of the places I spend a lot of time, a small tweak can go a long way. We recently changed the color of my study at home from dark blue to yellow. The space is now brighter and lighter, and as my wife reminds me, less like a cave. It also harmonizes and blends better with the art and the Judaica there. Each time I enter, I appreciate this new change. It's made me think that perhaps the Mishkan, perhaps that sanctuary was to have all of the radiant colors described in the book of Exodus, the gold and the blue and the purple and the crimson, etc., to highlight how our own lives should be vibrant and appreciative of diversity and not just some dark color. We read this week how a sense of God's presence, God's nearness, accompanied the completion of the Mishkan, the sanctuary, and it continued to accompany the people throughout their wanderings. That image, as Exodus draws to a close, is now so much a part of our collective Jewish consciousness that our prayer book is named Mishkan Tefillah, or Sanctuary of Prayer. For just as God wanted a portable sanctuary be built to accompany Israel in its wanderings, we are summoned to find and carry with us our own space for connection amidst our own life's journeys. Torah recounts how the Mishkan was transported from place to place, underscoring an early and critical Jewish lesson that God is never confined to one location or circumstance. Later, Jewish tradition would summarize the insight as follows: where is God? Wherever you let God in. Letting God in logically implies maintaining high ethical standards. Letting God in should make us humble and sincere. We are thus counseled to promote inclusion and awareness, as the sacred is refracted in our best behavior, as we ourselves journey from place to place. From a Jewish vantage, we derive a sense of God's intent by studying the Torah and its numerous commentaries. Indeed, an ancient midrash on the creation story teaches that when creating the universe, God had Torah in mind. For just as a house isn't constructed without a blueprint, so God wouldn't construct our world without Torah. Torah helps to keep us grounded And as the point of the Torah is relational, as Rabbi Akiva explains, love your neighbor as yourself is the grand principle of Torah. We are to draw from our sacred writings empathy and commitments that extend beyond ourselves. As I experienced again this week, a funeral can be a reminder of how best to dedicate our limited days. And with the metaphor of a mishkan, we are asked to envision and appreciate a design that might connect us to blessing, to this house of God, and to our prayers, and especially to one another. Ken Yehi Ratzon, be this God's will. Friends, we now turn to page 586. For those who are able, we rise for the Aleinu. The Aleinu prayer that we'll be chanting is the second paragraph down on the second Hebrew paragraph down on the page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגהרסות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגדול עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. Page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar, page 591.
ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We turn to page 598. At this moment in our service, we now call to mind our own beloved dead. We pray on their behalf. We voice the confidence that they are remembered for blessing. I ask that those in mourning or remembering the anniversary of the death of a loved one to please rise if you're able when their name is mentioned, whether you're in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom or social media. We remember the yard sites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Toby Berkowitz, Irving Bisnov, Fanny Crystal, Sadell Don, Rose Epstein, Gloria Novak Forston, Esther Gaber, Rosa Gelfand, Rose Gianat, Sandra H. Goldfarb, Nathan Hamar, Ann Kaplan, Theodore Linton, Alvy Martin, Malke Metz, Jonathan Nowak, Rebecca Rearson, Abraham Schiff, Casper Spiro, Rose K. Weil, and Jack Wilson. We ask our worshipers in our sanctuary, should you have a dear one to add, to please rise and say their name. And we ask our online worshipers on Zoom to unmute and say the name of their loved one.
Eli Fallis,
For those in our sanctuary, should you wish, we invite you to offer a short remembrance of a dear one on our Kaddish list. Please raise your hand for the microphone, if you would like. We remember the Ukrainian victims of Russia's invasion. Each Shabbat, we also mention 6 names amongst the 6 million murdered in the Holocaust, the Shoah. This week, we remember Fanny Chaifetz, Paula Stein, Nesha Shakis, Naftula Orlowski, Aaron Gansman, and Friedel Gansman. In remembrance and solidarity, and on behalf of those for whom there is no one but us to say Kaddish, we now invite all to rise, if you are able, our Kaddish prayer, page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, B'alma divra chirute b'amlich malchute, b'chaye chon uvyome chon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mavarach le'olam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zuchranam levarcha, may their memories be for blessing. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Dawn?
Seems like old times.
Good evening. I'm Dawn Tendler. Thank you for joining us, either in the sanctuary or online.
Just move you closer to one of the mics.
Sorry. Thanks to Rabbi Linda and the choir, and tech maven Adam Wisniewski. Anyone have good news to share this week? No good news? Birthdays? Anniversaries? Well, I had Dan.
Third grade at Chatsworth Elementary School in Larchmont has about 100 kids.
In the third grade?
88 of them are in a string program. 88. And they can't be in band until fourth grade. And so they get these kids who want to do music to start with strings. And I don't know how many they retain, but it's a wonderful, wonderful program. They had a concert. Okay, I was prepared for, a little John Cage or somebody, atonal, but it was wonderful. And it was really, really well done. And they play really, really well. It's so exciting to see strings being pushed in a school district.
We definitely need more arts in schools. Well, in my family, we had 3 birthdays this last week, so. Yours too? We did. Jacob turned 15, Eli turned 13, and Krista's birthday is today, and I won't tell you how old she is. Tomorrow morning, Torah study is at 10:30, in person or online. Sunday is religious school and also Rabbi's Introduction to Judaism class. And at 10:30, iPhone tech support presentation in the multipurpose room by Adam Wisniewski. Too bad it's just iPhone. I could use some tech support on my Android. It is. Sunday afternoon, the rabbi will be part of the Susa Mendez Foundation program on Southbury, saying no to the Nazis. On Tuesday, Rabbi's discussion group and religious school. Next Shabbat, Services are at 7, and Ivel Kovner will be our Baalat Koreh. Some dates to keep in mind. Wednesday, April 5th, which is coming up very quickly now, is our congregational Seder. Please respond to the office. Saturday night, April 29th, will be a special event honoring 25 years of B'nai Israel, 25 years with Rabbi Eric, and 150 years as a synagogue going back to Temple Israel in Waterbury, and 20 years that we've been in this building, which is amazing. Immediately after Kiddush and Motzi, we go into the social hall for tonight's Oneg. The rabbi will be online to say hello about 15 minutes after the Motzi. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and we mentioned sort of a trip down memory lane with Dawn. I would say for a good number of those 20 years, Dawn, whether as president or ritual committee chair, was up doing announcements, so it's great to have you doing them again. The Don Olam is found on page 625.
Okay.
Thank you. Lovely sound tonight. We all join together in Kiddush. Kiddush will be found on page 123 in the prayer book, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemahaseh bereshit ki hu yom tehillah lo mikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu b'chata v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
One never knows.
It's a little sherry, a touch of sherry tonight.
Yep. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz
be with you and give you peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yeah, Shabbat shalom.